Hello, my billion-dollar baby, and welcome back to today's episode. I am your host, Tara Electra, and on this podcast, we break down the billion-dollar ideas from today's cultural leaders who push past the traditional route to create their very own pathway to success. This is going to be a solo episode, and it's going to be an exciting one on the myths of running a business. I think, having your own business has been such a exciting thing for so many people to daydream about. And it's gotten more and more popular over the years. People don't feel like they're as accomplished if they're working for someone else. And I think there's a lot of beautiful parts to having your own company and running your own business. And then there's a lot of struggle. So I really came from the place of wanting to run my own business for a long time. And back in the day, I really didn't fully understand what that means. And when I started to be like, okay, I worked as an employee for other people and I was like, okay, I want to just do this on my own already. So I went off, started my own LLC and tried to figure it all out. With that, I learned a ton of ups and downs and problems and things that happened that really not many people would love to go through. For an example, starting your own business, you have to learn what are you going to sell? And it takes a long time to learn what things people would actually buy, what things people would think is valuable. Also, there comes a real internal battle with yourself trying to understand what things you feel are valuable to give to the world that people will also pay for. So I had an internal battle with understanding my value and how much I should charge. And so you also have to do a lot of self-development to learn how to charge what you're worth during running your own business. There's a lot of mental roadblocks you have to overcome when starting a company. So what's beautiful about working for someone else, and I always think that if you're going to start your own business, having some experience with working for other people too is always a good thing. When you work for other people and you can kind of see how things are developed, you get to almost put your training wheels on and learn from the business, right? I think a lot of times people go work for someone else and they don't want to be there. So they're kind of like, oh, I'm just going to get my paycheck and go. And I believe those are the people that fail the most, because if you're just trying to get your paycheck and go, you're not actually learning all the beautiful things you can learn from a company. Because the basis of every business is the same. I don't care if you work in retail or at a social media company or whatever. You're learning little pieces throughout the business that you could actually take into your own life. And so when you actually put yourself into it and engulf yourself into it, you can take these tools and tricks and tips and learn how to put it into something you're working on. So everything you do, put yourself fully into it so you can take those things and build more. So some of the myths I've seen with running a business is people feel like you get to do whatever you want if you have your own business. I think that's somewhat of a myth, because obviously, yes, you can do whatever you want, but should you? Probably not, especially when you're starting out. I would say that you work way more than other people when you're starting your own business. You're working all the time. You don't really have a weekend. And if you want to be successful, that's how you should be setting yourself up. You need to be so hungry and so engulfed in what you're doing, because if you're not, the business will just dissipate. Whereas if you're working for someone else, you go in, you have those things, you're building those things, and you kind of can have time to check out and take care of yourself and create your personal life and so forth. So I wouldn't say you should just do whatever you want. One of the myths I believe is that if you were able to hire all these employees, that your life would be easier. I believe that is somewhat of a myth, and I've seen it firsthand. You think, oh, okay, if I have more money, I can just hire more people and things will go right. That is not true. I've literally seen some of the biggest companies in the world bring investors in, get millions of dollars and spread it out to so much staff and executives and people and think it's just going to work. That is so not true. It's not about how much money you have and all that stuff. Yes, it helps, but at the end of the day, hiring the right people is so important. And so a lot of times you think like, oh, I need to go hire someone with this like fancy background. And some of those people are honestly the biggest waste of your money. It's about surrounding yourself with people that genuinely want to learn and actually have a fire to be better. And so I've seen that, I've hired all different types of people. And the people that have been my right hands that have came from being a waitress and now are executives in the company, the difference is that they genuinely wanted to learn. So anything I was talking about in meetings I was having, they would come to me after and be like, wow, I love the way you said that, or I love the way you did that. And I can tell they're like taking notes. And I'm like, wow, I didn't even tell them to do that. And they're just so eager to learn. And so those are the best people that I already know, whether they work with me or someone else, they're always going to be successful. And those are the traits that you need to know when starting your own company. Also, a huge one is finding the right business partners. Obviously, some people start a business on their own and others try to find someone that is potentially a good fit as their business partner. I would recommend finding someone initially when you're looking for a business partner to think of ways that they can fulfill things you're not good at or don't know. But a lot of times people will find someone and they'll be like, okay, they know this part, I know this part, so they'll do that and I'll do this. And yes, those things can work out initially, but my biggest thing that I've learned after being screwed over a million times in business by the partners that I've chosen is that it's not always about just finding someone that fits those things. It's about finding someone that genuinely you can trust, is loyal. How are they around money? Can you trust them with your contacts and people? Like those little tiny things you'll start to notice with someone's character if they're a good business partner. A good business partner actually wants to speak you up in a room when they're even not with you. They're like, oh, my business partner is so good. Oh, wait until you talk to them. Or they actually respect the things you bring to the table. Maybe it's things like, oh no, that she's the pro in that, or he's got that, and you guys have an equal mutual respect for each other and value for one another. But the biggest thing when I see is people don't realize how important it is when you choose a business partner. Finding a business partner is as important as finding the person you're going to marry. The reason I say this is because people don't realize when you find a business partner and you partner with them and you build all these things and you put your entire life and soul and all the people you know and contacts and everything, your blood, sweat, and tears into a company, that the person you're business partners with is so important. Literally like you're married to this person. And technically it's like you are because you're legally bound to this person. So if things don't work out later, it's just as hard as having a divorce. So imagine you have this huge company and now you want to separate. The things that go into separating with a business partner is so similar to a divorce, and that's why you need to really understand who are you going to bring into your company. What is the right person to partner with? It's as if you're going through a marriage, you need a certain checklist of what things you're looking for. And I think you need to go very slow on making that decision. A huge myth in business is that you don't have a boss. The truth is you need to be your own boss. That's the only difference. And it's very hard to be your own boss. You have to judge yourself more than anyone else around you, whether that's waking up at a certain time, knowing that you're going to do the things on your to-do list, knowing that you're going to make those steps forward, and actually being hard on yourself on timelines. Do you have a certain thing you're supposed to be doing for your company that you're way behind on? Because you not doing those things is affecting every single aspect and moving piece of your company. And being at the helm of your company, everyone is following in your footsteps, whether you have people working for you or you don't. Everything around you is following in your footsteps. So you being your own boss and being on top of yourself and always grooming yourself to be better is so important, and honestly is the only way you can have a successful company. The responsibility of being a business owner is huge, especially if you plan on being more and more successful and you choose to have more and more customers working with you and more team members working with you. You are a representation of the entire business. So how you act, what you say on social media, who you are, all those things are going to reflect and affect your business. So it is so important, and it is a very heavy position to take on if you want to be a business owner, of the responsibility that you need to now own. I think that's one of the hardest things I've went through with business, is because you think that, oh, I'm the owner, I don't need to answer to anyone. Really, you have to answer to everyone, way more people than if you're an employee or working for someone else. People think that when you own a business, you just make tons and tons of money and there's no limit to how much money you make. Obviously, that can be true in some scenarios, but in most scenarios, it is not. Actually, when you have a large business and you have a lot of employees or a lot of things that are going on that you need to invest in to grow the company, you are the one that is paid last. If the company doesn't do well that month and it struggles, guess who doesn't get paid? You. Everyone else gets paid. Everyone else you hire gets paid. And the person that always comes last is the business owner. That is a huge point to running a company. Do you have what it takes to actually take months where you maybe don't make money? There's so many business owners out there that have been running a company for 3+ years and have never even taken $1. So owning a business is not for the faint of heart. Only choose to move forward if you genuinely cannot live life without starting that business idea, because it fuels you, because that's what's going to keep you going to growing your business. Another big myth is that you have to start your own company in order to be successful. This is a huge one. There are so many successful people, if not more successful people around the world that work at other companies. It's about you actually engulfing yourself into that company, making yourself so valuable that the company itself does not want to lose you. As you keep scaling in a company, you can become extremely successful because of the things that you offer the company. Don't always feel like you need to own your own business or start your own business to truly make it in life. Some of the most successful people are positions at big companies or companies around the world that we see today, and it feels just as good to work at a company you're proud of and you know you're actually making a change for. Because true successful businesses around the world really just means that they have a team of people that are eager, working hard together, and actually care about the company's future. So I've seen so many positions at different companies inspire and fulfill the people that are working with them. Tons of people think if you just have a good idea or a good service that your business will be successful. That is not true. As a business owner, you know that you have to wear many, many hats. And if you stop working on yourself to be better in all those different ways you have to be successful as a business, then you will fail, which will make your business fail. So being good at communication, sales, marketing, understanding accounting, going into every aspect of the business and knowing things about it so that you can be a well-rounded business owner is very important when you're starting a company. That way, once it continues to grow, you know each part of your company extremely well. I think a lot of people assume that if the service or the product is good, then you'll be fine. I see this all the time. So many people have such amazing ideas or amazing clothing brands or things that you've never seen before, and they're so creative. But at the end of the day, are you a business person? And that's fine if you're not, but ask yourself those questions and be honest with yourself. Are you going to really learn each aspect of your business? If not, when you want to start a business, still, you need to find the other pieces to help you with the company and know which lane you're going to be in, because that is the most important piece. Knowing what your strengths are and knowing what your weaknesses are. And if you choose to be the lead of the entire company, choose to learn each aspect of your company to really be successful. True or false, when starting a business, is failure an option? I think failure should never be an option, and I've seen this firsthand from multiple business owners. One of the ones that's closest to me is I have a very good friend of mine that I watched start a company over 4 years ago. They've put in their own savings into it, and they've constantly had to take in their money even when everyone thought they were doing well, and they had to take their savings again and put more money into it years after. So now, after 4 years, I finally saw them take their first paycheck. They still haven't paid themselves back for the investment they took from their savings and put it into the company, but it's so rewarding to watch them feel like everything was worth it because they didn't give up. Sometimes you just got to keep going, and most business owners know that. Not every business is a success overnight, and even the businesses that you see successful today has a founder behind it that has failed more times than I can count. As a business owner, you're constantly faced with new challenges that are coming up. Some of them could be not so bad of a challenge, such as, oh, we need to fix our social media to get more customers. And others can be a lot bigger challenges, such as performance goals you need to hit or having more finances to grow the company. As a business owner, you have to be completely comfortable with being in a position where you need to perform at all times, whether you feel like it or you don't feel like it. That's one of the hardest pieces to running a company, is that you have to be at your optimal level at all times. I think for my own personal opinion of what the mindset of a business owner should look like is very different from some other business owners, especially because I'm a female in business. Learning how to balance yourself and what comes up for you as far as running a company on a day-to-day is something that I've had to learn to be very good at balancing. I think for me, I was so hungry and engulfed into my company, and I lived and breathed it, and I didn't have a personal life at all around growing my business. And I think there is a time and place for that. And I can't say for sure that you don't have to do that to succeed, because that's been the only thing I know to succeed. But at the same time, I think having somewhat of time to yourself to rebalance is always important, getting your mental in the right place. And sometimes you're dealing with something that's so large and so big that you feel like it's going to break you. And there's so many times that I've came to places throughout my business where I'm like, I don't think I can make it anymore. Like, I think this is it for me. But in those times, you just need to get away, go home, and be with yourself and be present again. And then when you wake up in the next morning, do you feel like going back? Because I do. Every single time, no matter what I've went through, I'm like, I can't quit. I just get back up, and this is the thing that really fulfills me at the end of the day. I'm fulfilled by giving back to people, whether it's customers and employees, through my company. And so that's what I feel like. If you're going to be a business owner, you need to be fulfilled through your work in order to keep going through all the challenges that you're going to face, and know that it is normal. I mean, some of the most successful founders and business owners I've met today are the people I relate with the most, because when I thought I was the only one struggling with these things, I realized how common it is and how many other business owners are like, oh, that's just a Tuesday for me. It's so normal. And until you're a business owner, you won't even understand what I'm talking about, because the things that you deal with are just insane, right? And especially as you build, especially as you hire and you grow, there's more and more problems. And I read an amazing book, and it's called The Millionaire Mindset. And he said, as you start to be more successful, you just deal with bigger problems. And so maybe when you're not so successful, the biggest problem ever is that you got a scratch on your car. But as you become more and more successful as a business owner, the problems do become bigger. And I know that there was times where I'm like, no one's going to relate to this. This is insane. It's like a TV show. But at the end of the day, what grounds me is knowing that if you choose to be more successful, you have to be okay with dealing with problems. You have to be okay with being challenged all the time and performing all the time and working on being the best version of yourself all the time, and knowing that's going to be something you can never stop working on if you want to consistently be successful. So as always, thank you, my billion-dollar baby, for listening. I read all your comments, so let me know what parts of this episode resonated with you the most. I'm going to be responding, reading, and I'd love to hear what other topics you think I should talk about next. I'm on every Tuesday. We'll be releasing new episodes for you, and you can find me at TARUHHH on Instagram and Billion Dollar Baby on all social media platforms. Thank you for listening.